Hello there, my name is Dr. Salim Javed and we have been talking about different story formats. We have just talked about how subplots play an important role and how they are executed in terms of film. I gave you two examples. One of the film was Matrix and the other was Titanic. Now what you can see if you on your screen. Now let's understand this because this is going to be very beneficial in terms of understanding film. At places you see that there is something called 3-act structure. On other place you see there is something called 4-act structure. Then you see it by different names. Now in terms of classic structure, there is something called 3-act structure. There is beginning, middle and end. Now why it is called 4-act structure is there is simply a reason. Now if you know that how 3-act structure works, it has got beginning, middle and end. And the way it is constructed, like suppose if there are 120 minutes or there are 2 hours, so first half an hour is act 1, last half an hour is act 3 and in between is 1 hour which is act 2. Now when you divide this act 2 into 2 equal parts, so technically you make 1 hour before act 1, act 2 and 1 hour after act 3 and act 4. Now that's why sometimes people say that it's a 4-act structure, but it is basically 3-act structure only, which is like you make it 4-act structure in terms of duration only. Otherwise in terms of writing everything, everything is same. Now when you have 4-act, then technically you can divide it further into 8 sequences. Now it is not necessarily need to be 4-act, which multiplies into 8 sequences. Sequences can have lot of scenes can have different shots. Now 8 sequence is not a condition, please understand. It's for the sake of a structure, and each sequence will end having very different characteristics. Like one can end with plot point 1, one can end with pinch point 1, one can end with pinch point 2, one can end with plot point 2, then you can have climax and then you can have last twist or inciting incident, anything possible. So but look, what is the advantage of dividing things? Like if you, suppose if there is one big family and there are 12 bananas, 12 people, that everybody will be receiving one, and this is how 1 dozen of bananas will be consumed. If there are 6 people, 12 bananas, so everybody will be getting 2. There are 4 people, 12 bananas, everybody will be getting at least 3. Now it helps you organize. Please understand, doesn't matter how long I have been talking about story formats, the basic purpose of story formats is basically how you organize things. Once you enter in a room which is more organized, you find it more appealing, that you know where to find what, and in terms if there is an emergency, how you will be handling it. So organization becomes very. If all the stories had followed all the story structures, they should have been, then all the film must have been blockbusters, but that's not necessarily a condition. All these things, like all the story structure, now I'll be talking about 5 turning points, Michael Hogg's 5 turning points. So all these things are basically to help you. Please, there is no substitute of creativity. Always remember this. There is no substitute of reality, this creativity. And what is creativity? Sometimes it becomes very difficult to define, because anything new which is appealing, which is working, which after a point of time is accepted, and which gives you a sort of a sort of pleasure also, that is creativity. That creativity can be used for business purpose, that creativity can be used in terms of your aesthetical appeal. So even the requirement and the supply of that requirement, these are absolutely two different things. Now, so act 3 becomes act 4. If you have 4 acts in the story, you have 8 sequences, and each sequence will have a purpose. By the time that sequence is over, it will give you, you put one sequence here, like suppose if I put one sequence here, that will be is equal to that this is what I have got from the sequence. Now if you have a specific objective of that sequence, then you have an order in your film. Now let's talk about 5 key turning points. Now look at this, what you can see on your screen. In the realm of film narratives, it is a common convention for films to have a protagonist. You know it. There is nothing new about it. While striving to achieve a captivating goal. Now that becomes a plot. What he wants to achieve, how he or she will be achieving it. That is where the creativity or the fun lies. The character in several films, such as like Starling in the Silence of the Lamb, Captain Miller in terms of Saving Private Ryan, and Billy Elliot in his quest for admission to a dance school, encounter formidable challenges as they strive to achieve their objective. Now, if I, after completing this lecture, go my home and I meet regular traffic, there is a regular route, and I reach home. This is a life. This is one of the days in life, which will be establishing that I work in an office and I have certain duties, and after finishing those certain duties, the character goes back to home. But here is where the drama has not been introduced. There is this particular information is part of the setup. To have drama in the story, there has to be something which is not part of the routine in my daily life. So drama will start once the equilibrium, there is some shift in the equilibrium. Only then the drama can start. Like I'll be talking about 2 very specific films in terms of 5 key turning points. One is Erin Brockovich and the other is Gladiator. If you really want to understand how 5 key turning points work, I would suggest that you should watch these 2 films. Only then it will be fruitful for you and for me also, because then you will be able to connect that what I am talking about. Like suppose if I say in the realm of film narrative. Now what I am exactly saying is that in terms of film, there is a common conviction for films to have a protagonist who encounters formidable challenge while striving to achieve a captivating goal. Now, goal has to be captivating. Now, this is really important. It is not only about goal. Like a lot of people say that your protagonist must achieve his or her goal. Oh, fine, but if the bar for that goal is not beyond the comprehension of the character, you cannot play up the challenges. And if your challenges are not big, your victory is not big. Now that's why it becomes very important to produce captivating goal, or maybe something which is beyond the physical or mental capacity of the protagonist. That's why I gave you an example of Silence of the Lamb, then I talked about Saving Private Ryan, and then I talked about Billy Elliot and his quest for the admission. Now, the plot structure serves to establish the chronological order of events. Now, what is this chronological order of event? A lot of my students have asked, because when they read some other material, so at places you have this sort of language, chronological order of events. I simply tell them, think of a sequence, and that is a chronological order of events, because it has got a lot of scenes in it. So every scene is contributing towards event. So when you talk about chronological order of events, you are basically talking about maybe a very lengthy scene or maybe sequence. Now, there is a very interesting anecdote here, that like what you are seeing me right now is one shot. Now, a lot of these shots will make a scene, a lot of scenes will make a sequence, and a lot of sequences make a feature film. Now, regardless to the genre, successful film adhere to the fundamental pattern, encompassing romantic comedy or suspense thriller or historical drama or big budget science fiction film. Doesn't matter whichever category that you are writing in, you need to have good sequences, good scenes, and then good shot is basically that you do during the production. But you need to have good sequence. You need to have good scenes. I was talking to when I was teaching in class, I asked my student, I gave them a situation, and I said that suppose if there is a romantic scene, there is a boy, there is a girl, and the boy comes and says something to the girl, you have seen this particular scene in 10,000 films. They have been doing it. They have been, sometime making it in a slow motion, or the boy comes and he skids and goes towards the girl and something like that. You have seen these things, 1,000 times, in different films. But when you create it in your film, how you show it will make the difference. If you are showing it like anybody else, then you do not carry weight in this particular scene. But if you make something which is beyond the expectation of the audience, I can give you an example, but that is something that will be slightly out of the box, and maybe some people will like it, some people will not like it. So that's the only reason, that how you do this, look, the feelings will remain same. There is no change in feelings, but the way you express brings newness in the idea. So always remember this, what I'm saying, that scenes, horror is a genre which is fixed, romance is a genre which is fixed. They are words which are fixed, not the way you express them, the way you make them show to your audience. That can always be new. That can always be new. In a well-organized cinematic production, the narrative comprises 6 basic stages, delineated by 5 key turning points in the plot. Now, the turning points. Now, let's, there is, the name itself is turning point. I will talk about, Michael, who has created, Michael Hogg, who has created this. I'll talk about him in a bit. Now, when the name itself says that this is turning point, now it is definitely highlighting where the story is changing. How the story is changing, that is creativity, but story need to change, that is the requirement. Now, these turning points consistently exhibit identical characteristics and assume fixed location within the narrative. The event occur at the 25% mark of a 90-minute comedy will be indistinguishable from those at the corresponding percentage of a 3-hour epic film. Now, what does it mean? Like, suppose earlier films used to be of 3 hours. Now you have films of 2 hours. Then now you have a OTT episode, maybe 45 to 50 minutes. And now, how in terms of writing it carries weight, or how it is adjusted. Now, think it in terms of that we have got 2 hours. Okay, so 2 hours. Let's take these 2 hours as 100%. Okay. Now when you have these 2 hours as 100%, now the 25% of that 2 hours is half an hour. Last 25%, as I was saying, beginning, middle and end, 3-act structure, 25%, 25% on both the side, and in between 50%. So that makes it 100%. So starting 25% will be half an hour, last 25% will be half an hour, and rest 1 hour, which is act 2 technically, will be of 1 hour. So if there is a film of 120 minutes, obviously half an hour here, and in between you have 1 hour. Now the same rule will be applied for a 3-hour structure also, or 4-hour structure also, or 5-hour structure also, or 6-hour structure also, or 7-hour structure also. Now you will say, Salim sir, you are going mad, because there is no film of 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours. Now you have been watching longer films now, but the name has changed. That has been put, or it has been given to you in a digestible bites in terms of OTT and episodes, but now you are seeing longer films as compared to before. As compared to before, you were not ready to sit for 3 hours in a cinema hall, you are not ready to sit for 2 hours in a cinema hall, but you are ready to sit for 6 hours in the name of episodes of a series. Now you have been consuming more visuals, you have been consuming more story, you have been consuming more production work in terms of duration than before, but most of us do not realize it. So the moment you say this percentage is working, so suppose if I am creating an 8 hour long or 6 hour long film, which I can translate that into 8 episodes, one entire season, I can do that the same, like for half an hour I can do this. So for an 8 hour, let's say 6 hour, 25% will be 1.5 hour, I think, 1.5 hour this side, 1.5 hour this side, and in between 3 hours. So it doesn't matter if I'm making a film of 20 minutes, 2 hours, or 6 hours in terms of OTT and episodes, in terms of season. The percentage that we are going to discuss will have this, it will come exactly at the same spot, not before, not after. In terms of plot, you can have linearity and non-linearity, but in terms of one organic body, that if I am, like, suppose if I write a story of, which is like, suppose I can translate that story into 6 hours. Doesn't matter if I'm writing it for 6 hours, obviously I need to have more pages, it will be like a novel, it will be somewhere 600 pages. Now there is another calculation that 1 page of a screenplay is equivalent to 1 minute on screen. That can be more also in terms of action part, or if your film is action based, then the pages will be less, but the execution of those pages will be more, and you will have like, if I am writing a film which is dialogue based and it is approximately 2 hours, so that film will get over within 110 to 120 pages. Okay, a minimum 110 pages, more, and maximum is 120 pages, and each page will define at least each page will qualify for 1 minute of screen time. Now in terms of a 6 hour long film, which is again episodes, OTT, season, all those words that we have been using now, will have at least 550 pages to 600 pages. There is a different style in Bombay. A lot of people, like I have seen that they come, they give you A4 size paper, especially in terms of serial writing. They give you one A4 size paper. Everybody reads that A4 size paper. Everybody knows what we are going to shoot today, and they start doing it. But in terms of screenplay writing, in a lot of syllabus across, not across, in most of the colleges and universities, when it comes to film appreciation, I have seen it that they write understanding of script, then they put more points there. But script, this is like one of my submissions that as I was doing theatre in college, that is where we used to ask for script. Where is the script? What is the script? But when you come to a film set, you don't ask for a script. You ask for the portion from screenplay, or give me the screenplay of the film. I will, chuck out my part from the screenplay. So that is one basic difference. Though I have seen that a lot of people do not observe this bifurcation. They carelessly use these two words interchangeably. But in the academic sense, when you say script, like a lot of actors, a lot of theatre actors have made a name for themselves, so they have this on their tongue, that where is the script, because that is what they have been asking for and they have grown up with. So but there is a very technical difference, that script is for play, and when it comes to film, then it is screenplay writing. And there is one more difference, that a lot of earlier, the screenplay format that we see today, or the way we write it now with the help, like a lot of people know formatting, but there are a lot of people who use software, and they write it through software, and so it is more a recent term. So maybe they are not wrong, and I'm not saying that they are wrong. So they may not be wrong because they have been tuned to that kind of a terminology. But as a student of mass communication, you should know the difference. The script is equal to theatre or a play. Screenplay is equal to film. So that is one of the basic difference. Now, according to the convention, that one script page, as I said, corresponds to approximately 1 minute of the screen time, it may be inferred that 75% of a screenplay, which is like 120 pages, will be 90 pages in terms of this calculation. Subsequently, this point in the script will occur roughly 90 minutes into a 2-hour film. Now, what you can see on your screen is Michael Hogg's 6-stage plot structure. Now, this is called 6-stage plot structure, and I was saying, I was saying 5 key turning points. But here, what you can see on your screen is Michael Hogg's 6-stage plot structure. Now, again, I was discussing about Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So we will be discussing basic that we have. We will be building it, and then we will try to understand whether it is 6-stage or 5 turning points very soon. Thank you very much.